the zone and takes the lead. Now it's only 90 ticks remaining for the Floor Green to get a 2-0 KO. Big Zuka shot from Denia. They have to go in now. There's only 9 ticks remaining. They're diving into the zone. But there's Judd getting rid of 2 wipeout on the side of Floor Green with 1 tick remaining. Anticipated Reef Slider users take the zone. 57 points of penalty applied onto Floral Green. But they are 1 point remaining from victory. But Frosty, it's not just 1 point for Floral Green, because anticipated Reef Slider users also is very close to the KO range. They're below 25 now. So they only have a quarter to go, but unfortunately they lost the zone here. But I think they can definitely retake with a tactical cooler and 2 players down on the side of Floral Green.
Yes, as we're seeing Titan living up to their name, already taking the initiative, getting rid of the splash here, potentially having Rada in their sights as well here, but they're going down. They are able to pop the splash down. Driven, running from these Zuka shots here. There's these bucket down on Floral Green, the splash down on Reef Slider users here. Driven, able to hold down the line on this stack here, dropping the soda here, and overtime isn't even happening for Reef Slider users as Floral Green pull it off once again. Don't call it a comeback, as they sweep the set 2-0, 99-79.
Very well done, and that is actually, I think, for us the group stage, because that is on stream a full fat 2-0s, 3 in a row. What can I say? It's pretty cool. It does kinda tend to happen between these kind of teams into the group stage. But what a match again! I think it was super. Well, it was super close. I think it was pretty close. I think both of them did a really good job. Floor Green, though. Oh no, I won't say anticipated Reef Sliders though. The 1 point save was a really good one that had me on the edge. But both of these teams again, they were special spamming with. I think now we got the big balance of like duking it out, like face to face with the weapons and a decent amount of special spam. So I like seeing the combat we were being showcased right here with Floral Green just at the end, especially just holding on every single time they needed to hold on. And they knew they didn't have to rush anymore after they got that 1 point score. They knew they could just, get anticipated Reef Slider users to take the zone, all, respawn, get the tactical cooler at the ready, and then start diving in only when they really needed to. That's just a smart Splatoon player. Just knowing eventually, like, okay, we don't have to rush anymore. We can play it cool. Let them score a couple points only, and then push in whenever we really need to start pushing in. And then we see it at the end right there. They push in, they just dive bomb in, everyone basically gets splattered, but then they do end up winning the game. And sometimes you have to lose a fight to win the game. Now, I am waiting for what's going to happen next. I'm waiting for the second single elimination stage, but also I'm happy to announce we got a 36 people raid on Twitch from Slavarok. Thank you so much for raiding us. And if people who don't really watch our content, hello, welcome to Double Production. We stream silly Splatoon tournaments. My name is Het. I'm joined by Frosty, and we are about to watch the single elimination stage of Battling Pool. Quickly going over the bracket while we are waiting. Group A, we do have Full Bat and Flemish and what's it? Flameshon, is that a Pokemon? I don't know. Who are continuing on to the alpha bracket, and we win into the beta bracket. No games went into game 3, so 2-0 on all that side too. Group B has Grief and Unknown going to the alpha bracket. Both of these two teams also won all the games 2-0. Though, B3-2 Unknown against Grief is actually 1-1, so that's our first game 3 recorded here as I'm talking. Group C has New Meta and Bangaranga going to the alpha bracket thus far, but they are duking it out. No, they're both going to the bracket. But these two teams are duking it out right now, and that's also into game number 3. Group D has Goat, Hatano, and Stellaris going to the alpha bracket. Stellaris and Goat, Hatano are duking it out right now. Is that final? Before I say stuff that isn't true, or if Goat Stellaris lose, it means Floor Green goes through. How does that work?
I'm not entirely sure here. I think it's truly dependent on, I guess, like just the overall amount of wins you've gotten within the group stage here. But we're starting to see a couple more games finishing up here. I think Group D has been finalized here. Goat, Hatano, and Stellaris have finished their sets here, and we're also seeing I think like yeah, we're just waiting on maybe around like yeah, I think around like two more games, one from Group B and one from Group C, in order for the rest of brackets to start becoming finalized here. Group stage is starting to wrap up here, and we will be back, I think, to start getting a look into Alpha Bracket. So, for those just joining stream, and for those who have been here ever since we started, don't go anywhere. Paddling Pool 370, the Golding Paddling Pool of this time, will be back after a bit.
And welcome back to Dapple Productions. This is Battling Pool 370, and for one more round. My name is Het, and I'm joined by Frosty, and we are going to start it off on the Alpha Bracket, round 2, which, for those of you confused, round 1 is delayed, and there's only 2 teams technically playing in round 1, so we're starting off with round 2, which is round 1, but it's also round 2. Don't complain about it, because I'm just as confused as you are. We are going to watch Pink against Unknown. If you are watching the bracket onto samdu.inc, it is match 2.8. We're going to start it off here on My Resort, which is seeming to be a very popular map in Splat Zones, and I can see why, but I'm going to be honest, this map, I hate it in this game, because it just ruined the magic of the original My from Splatoon 1. I don't know if you were there, but I don't like this. I mean, yeah, it plays fine. It doesn't. What?
Sorry, I have to, like, I'm on my phone. Like, this camera is my phone camera because my web camera doesn't work, and then I have to, like, pivot, like, the tripod arm out of the way so that it's not blocking my monitor. But honestly, I didn't actually play comp during Splatoon 1. And, well, I'm immediately cut off. Let's get into Mahi from Splatoon 3 here, and we're seeing some pretty familiar faces, I think, all around here. I'm just, like, we're seeing Zombie, we're seeing IPS, we're seeing Easy Pokachan, we're seeing, like, Yoshino, and like the splash on Pink as Unknown. Is that Pink or Unknown? I think the colors just need to be switched up a bit. Yeah, that's Unknown in green, Pink in purple. Very strange thing I'd say there, but already Pink are looking to be taking an immediate first control of the zone. I
love the tattoos, by the way. I really like choice of that weapon. It always brings me a smile to my face when I see them. 75 points already on the scoreboard for Pink, and they're doing a very decent job on the defense here. I feel like Unknown is already pushing it hard because they have 2 players down. Very well done by Pink, and they're looking at to get a third right there. Didn't get a range blaster. As of yet, it's still alive. So the custom blaster is alive and still pushing forward. Omen just barely surviving that. Tri-Strike from Unknown is now countering that with their own Tri-Strike to get that zone back after Pink, or after Unknown has captured it, but a very, very big lead, early lead for Pink, Frosty, because they already passed the 50.
Yes, it does look like that. They're just taking a lot of space here and just exerting a lot of pressure onto Unknown here. They managed to get all the way to 46, and they're still holding down the space. Pokachan going down here. Yoshino, they're trying to take the islands here, but they're a little bit hesitant here, resorting to throwing some bombs here, I think, while they're waiting for the rest of Unknown to go. And now they're moving in, the strikes are in, the splashdown from Pokachan has gone live here, but it's immediately countered by a well-timed slider and strikes combo from Pink here. The splash has gone down from the bucket here. The zone now is in neutral from Unknown, but Pink is still looking to hold down the space here. Pokachan is taking a lot of damage, finally going down to Omen, and Pink, they're still holding this hat.
They are not letting go. They finally got forcefully taken out of their hands because they had 3 players down on the field, but so does Unknown, so it's a bit unknown if that zone is still going to be green or it's going to turn pink. We're going to have to see right now because these 2 teams are duking it out over it. As far as I know, it's still green because Pink is nowhere to be found. IPS gets splattered super duper quickly. So does Omen. Zombie with a half HP trying to push in against Yoshino, but doesn't really win the fight right now. There's now fighting 2 players, but a splat bomb cancels it out and loses the fight. Unknown definitely has to fight for a little bit though, because that zone is still neutralized and not yet in their control. It finally is. Now they have to maintain it.
They do, but they're already counting things down. As long as they can hold down the space and potentially get rid of very high priority targets like Omen, potentially also Zombie, because they have these. They're really good at fighting and can also have really big changing specials. And boom, Pokachan is able to get rid of Omen. That's no strikes and no bucket for Pink in the meantime here. They're also, IPS is going down. Zombie has gone down to the splash here. And look at that. Unknown able to take the lead and are very close to knocking things out, Hat. And no one from Pink are able to get there. And in a very, very exhilarating comeback, that is Unknown taking game 1.
A very sleek game, but Pink had the opening. Unfortunately, they couldn't make it happen. When it was a 1-1, I was looking at that zone like, there are 2 players right now on a neutralized zone and nobody is playing it. I thought it was really funny. Just two, like, both have one player alive and neither of them is on the zone. They're both just kind of waiting for their teammates to come back. With Unknown, the second they finally got their hands on the zone, the second they finally started to push some points, they went for the big leagues. Because Pink had 15 points, mind you, and Unknown was still at 60 at the time. So it was a very, very strong push in here. At the end, you can see it. Pink tried everything but lost 3 players, and the Tri-Strike is not going to do that much anymore if there's no follow-up. Now we're finally seeing a map we haven't seen as of yet on the stream today.
Ooh.
Urchin Underpass, that's definitely not Sheltered Berries right there. I love this map so much.
Yeah,
really
like, I mean, I just remember this a lot more from Turf 4 if I'm being real, but, you know, either in Turf 4 or in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe, because that was like...
You
I don't know why
played
I
the
played.
battle mode?
I was bored and on a highway, okay?
Okay, yeah, that's fair.
I was bored and I was on a highway road trip to New Jersey, so you make do what you gotta make do, I guess. And I guess that's
A
battle
man's
mode
gonna
on
do
it.
what a man's gonna do. No, I understand. No, I played so much matches on that. Every single time, I still get scared of the original Ink Suka just being able to shoot across
man.
the entire horizontal length of that map. Just suddenly you're just there and like, oh, there's a half cut off Suka tornado just barging at you at Mach 5 and you're just dead.
You could go like on a map like what was it, like Arowana Mall, you could get picked off from the top and on the bottom ledges to one Zuka. And it's like, okay, what do I do then? That's 2 of us down, the Rainmaker's pushing in.
They should have brought that back, They should have brought that back map, dude.
You really want to bring back Arowana Mall? You want to bring back Arowana Mall?
Dude, I love my eye-shaped Tetris piece. It will fit perfectly into all the Tetris maps we have in this game already. It will be perfect. It will be perfect. Eel to Ellie ain't nothing to Arowana Mall. I am telling you. What I'm also telling you is we have a heavy splatling. Is it edit? Every time I forget to name this team.
Oh no, yeah, that's edit. That's edit from Yoshino.
I love the edit so much. It's such a cool weapon. I love that it's actually getting played because I was so scared when it came out. People weren't really going to play, but now it's still being played semi-consistently. It's not the greatest weapon, I think, but it does its job, and I'm a fan. As Pink is again the first team to really capture the zone and start to put some points on it. 86 is their current score. It's not a whole lot, but it's a decent score nonetheless for LST. As Unknown is slowly but surely getting the specials ready because they are preparing for a counter push. Ooh.
They are preparing indeed, and here come the strikes from, I think that's the Bucket on Unknown, who is formerly on the Splash here. No Sweat going down to Zombie. Always excited to see Zombie because you know the Tetras will be brought out here. And already Pink are resuming their hold. They deploy the Tri-Strikes. They have a slider ready to go, and Zombie's in a really good position for a Dapple here. They're sending the slider in, trying to get the pick. They are able to get rid of the Bucket here. Omen in tow as well here, getting the pick onto Yoshino here. It's No Sweat and Pokachan on the field right now, and Omen is already taking a lot of damage, being forced to retreat a bit, but even still, the damage has been dealt at. 43 points and counting. They're going to be entering the 30 threshold soon. Unknown needs to find a way in.
They have to find a way in fast. That's a splashdown, not really connected to anyone. And the user got splattered themselves as well. That does go. The splatting from Pink does go down, so does the Tetras. This might actually be a chance for Unknown if they can capitalize on this super duper quickly because they don't have a whole lot of time left. 8 points remaining is the current score for Pink, and they're just denying Unknown to go in. 2 points remaining, and it's still not captured. Oh! No! They had it neutralized, and there was no one there, but Unknown somehow couldn't make it happen, and are pushed to game 3 as Pink wins game number 2. Very dominantly, might I add.
Man, I won't lie, that situation was really, really rough, I think, for Unknown, because that point, you had to, like, it was up to a I think, was it their splash? I think, yeah.
We can see right there, it was literally just Yoshino on the field, and I feel like...
No, it wasn't just Yoshino, it was... I'm not sure if it was just Yoshino. It was Yoshino, but it was also their blaster Pokachan. But then, like, you have, like...
You see right here. I think you see right here, yeah. It's
just
Yoshino.
You see Yoshino,
just Yoshino.
and then there's the blaster. There's the blaster
Pokachan
here.
It was because of this, the minigun, the Chidi just did enough paint to keep it neutral. That's very impressive from the splash. That's from that Splatling. That is actually super impressive. Because that was it was semi-blind as well, because yeah, of course, you can see the zone, like you can see the outline, your little icon, but it's still a semi-blind shot, especially for like a weapon which is a really weird arch, like the Splatling. It was a very, very well placed shot. I think they wanted to get the Splatling, but it's super hard to see where they are because of the little ledge down. But those were
Mhm.
still some crazy accurate shots, and then to even get the Splat right after that, up close against a Splashomatic, which is arguably pretty hard to do. Very well done by Chidi, and I think it's a very good and deserved game number 3. I think the composition for Pink also just suited the map a bit better. I feel like it had more effective range, and it allowed them just to defend Urchin Underpass a bit better, because it's a bit awkward to push into Urchin sometimes, especially in Splatoon 3. I think it's a little bit difficult occasionally, but I don't play the game that much anymore, so I think there are better people out there who can judge that now. Let's see for the weapon switches here. No more Splatling on the side of Unknown. They're going straight back to the pencil. They are going for that Tacticooler, and why shouldn't they? It's a proven time and time again. It's such a strong weapon. Of course, Pink is bringing that Tacticooler as well with the NZAP. We know Hagglefish Market to be a Tacticooler powerhouse because of the amount of places you can move around in this map. Pink, again, the first team to capture that zone, but this time they don't really do it dominantly because everyone from Unknown is still around. In fact, Pink is the first team to lose a player, and because of this, Unknown has an easy time going in and puts a small penalty onto Pink Frosty. But these two teams are still duking it out in the center because neither is willing to give up this fight right now.
Not right now, and I think what was really big, I think, on Pink was canceling out the Crab from Unknown here. That's a very vital special to be shut down here. Forcing Yoshino to jump back as well, that's pretty big, but they have the strikes ready to go. But Unknown has their entire arsenal. Omen has the strikes. We saw the pencil come out, not the pencil, but the soda come out from IPS. Zombie has, I think, I'm not sure if Zombie used their slider, but Prosper also dropped the Wave Breaker onto Tent here. That's very solid, holding down the line. Omen still has the strikes ready to be deployed, and I think I hear some strikes coming out from, I think that's Yoshino on the Octo Shot, but that won't neutralize the zone just yet. There's just so much paint coming out from Pink. When you have weapons like Zap, when you have weapons like Vanilla, okay, I'm tripping up. Unknown just got a wipeout. I think all that stuff about paint has immediately become null as Unknown has got the wipeout and will immediately start holding. But the damage has been dealt. Pink just got to 27 within that hold.
That's a big lead, and that's a bit over 30. That's almost 75% of the game already done then and there, and now Unknown, someone has to match their energy, but I think they can do that. They definitely showed it in the game number 1, and they can show it here as well, because they got 3 players down on the side of Pink. They are not messing about. It is just Omen alive on the flank. I don't think they noticed him yet. Ooh, they finally do when they encountered someone, but they got rid of the Splashomatic, and is now looking to get rid of the Blaster, and with the help of the teammate in a trade, they did get rid of the Blaster, and because of that, they can capture that zone. A very well-timed flank by Omen, and it does also allow Unknown to keep on the lead because it's 52 penalty points. It's only 31 score against 27 for Pink. So well done by Pink on the defense, and again showing playing it slow sometimes is the better play.
Yes, exactly. They're just playing a little bit more methodical, even when they're running with a lot more aggressive weapons here. But look at Yoshino! They get rid of IPS and Zombie with their Octo Shot here. And now we're seeing a lot more openings for, I think, the rest of Unknown here, with Omen being forced to jump out here, and now Unknown will be able to whittle through their penalty. But look at Pink. They have their slider and they have their strikes. If they can line those up perfectly, and if they can cap that zone neutral, like, immediately, it'll shut down any hopes for Unknown to get this lead here, because they are closing out of their penalty. They are lacking a pencil, and here come the strikes from Omen here. IPS is moving in. The zone is in neutral. Here come the strikes from Yoshino here, not capping it. Here comes the slider from Zombie, claiming more space, and Pink will be able to recap the zone, putting 41 more penalty points onto Unknown. It's like that entire hold never happened.
24 points of penalty are remaining onto Pink as they are forcing their way through Unknown. They are eating these players left and right, and it looks like there's almost nothing that they can do against it. They still even fully respawn because some player is down, and they are looking to get another player off the board. The penalty is now gone. There's only 56 points remaining for Pink. Unknown have to go and do something fast. There's nobody alive, and everyone is just being thrown out of their spawn because of the amount of bomb spam coming into that area. As Pink, when they got that hold, finally takes game number 3 and puts themselves into the next round. And holy smokes, Philboat with a 232 player rate. Welcome everybody to the hottest moments here, right as we finish up round 2 of Battling Pool 370. Wow.
Yo.
If you're not familiar with Dapple Productions, I feel like most of these people who watch Philboat are. But if you're not known with Dapple Productions, hi, this is Battling Pool. It's a Splatoon Weekly from Dapple. And you just witnessed Pink against Unknown.
Yes. For those just joining the stream via raids or just tuning in, I'm Frostix. The lovely person beside me is Hat wearing the hat as usual. You missed Hat wearing the knight helmet, man. You're missing out on a lot. You also may have also missed out. There's a really key moment. Oh, there it is. There's the knight helmet.
It's still
but
so uncomfortable.
There was something like that was like really important here. I think there was something. Okay, if I remember, what happened was that before, I think Unknown was really trying to. I think they wanted to get their strikes in from Yoshino here. I think as soon as the one between like the 1 tick mark here, but then they get shut down by a bomb, Hat.
By a bomb. No, I'm trying my best with the helmet on to watch the replay. I can't really make out. Oh, it's not. I can somewhat see what's happening. But I want to talk about the end for a second when we get the replay in, because the amount of bomb spam by Ping, dude, that was insane. I don't think I've seen that much bomb spam in a while in this Splatoon.
I mean, yeah, well, not just the bomb spam here. I think that's just kind of what there it is. There's that bomb. I think that came out from Omen, and it shut down the strikes. And that, like, shutting down the strikes exactly before the game ended here, that was so crucial for, that was, like, really crucial. Like, even when Pink had that strong lead, they just kind of doubled down by shutting down the strikes within, like, a split second.
Yeah, I agree with you there. It really disallowed Unknown to go into anything else. I just see my own webcam.
The Knight's wearing the hat! The Knight is officially sponsored by Adidas, apparently. What will Team Cherry think? What will the rest of...
I have a SpongeBob hat, but I don't know where it is, so...
What will the Hollow Nest think of this?
Dude, I'm already the king of Hollow Nest. I don't give a fuck what they think.
Whoa, okay.
Oh shit, I should
So, okay, we're already in the next round. Oh, I'm being mogged by the Knight now. Who knew? Who knew I could be mogged by the Knight? Even the last person you would expect to have a crazy chin line is the Knight. But we have now entered best of 5 sets with we're in semifinals. I think we are in semifinals with Goat Hatano versus Dice. How are you breathing, Hat? Like, how are you feeling, Hat? Because I think I just saw you like do a big respirate. Oh, we're in round 3. We're in round 3.
I am not breathing anything at all.
We're in round 3, quarterfinals.
Goat Hatano. I read it for a second as Goat Hatano.
Hatano.
Like Goat hat space Ano.
You see a bit of yourself in everyone. I see Dice and I see the ice in it, and I immediately think of Frostix. So. Maybe we do see ourselves in a bit.
I definitely see myself into Goat. That's for sure.
Ah, yeah, I know. Me too. That's the goat in question.
The goats.
That's the goat in question.
Someone in chat asks, who do you think will win this round? I'm gonna be honest. I'm going off the seed, so 100%. So I think it will be. And then it's like seed 4 to 5, man. Okay, hold up.
No, okay, let's be real.
Bake.
But then you have Zekrom, Typhlo, Alvo, and Slord, and
I am not going to decide. I am not that. No, I'm not gonna play.
Not this match.
Last time I did that, I lost like all my money, so I'm not gonna play.
I remember that happening. I think I
can't place points, so I just placed like $100 and then I lost.
Oh. Okay, no, I remember I think you said something about like betting like metaphorically, but like when you have okay, these players, I guess like for people that haven't been tuning into stream, there's like a lot, like these are like people that have been like consistently showing up and like making like they've made it like consistently to the end of like the original like the normal format paddling pool, like they make it all the way to the end of the double elim bracket. So then you have like Aaron, Pablo, Punchy, Bake, Zekrom, Typhlo, Aloe, and S-Lord here. These are all really like they're really good players. Like, and I really love to see them. Really good to see them here in quarterfinals. And then unfortunately that will mean that this will be the end of one of these teams' journeys. So one of these teams is gonna go down.
It's easily going down in a best of 5, and they already get some interesting maps out of the way. Straight up onto, I always forget this name. Dude, I play so much.
Flounder Heights, game 1.
It's almost weekend, dude. Give me a break.
It's Flounder.
It's Flounder.
What will...
I always found this map so interesting. I hated playing it in solo queue. I loved playing it in competitive. I think Splatoon 1 definitely did it a bit dirty compared to Splatoon 3. I think it's a lot nicer to play now. You don't have a lot of those like, oh, here's the Ink Suka just, you know, coming from across the map, instantly deleting you kind of specials. So I think Splatoon 3 definitely made it a lot better. I still think it's such an interesting map that you have to push towards the high ground. You really actively have to push high grounds, which usually in Splatoon map design, it's not the case. It's usually you push equal grounds or lower. So I like how Flounder does throw that off a little bit, but at the same time, it also makes it sometimes ridiculously hard to initiate once the opposing team has set up. But I'm fairly confident that the players who are in these two teams are kind of used to that by now and do know what to play against in a scenario like this. I mean, come on. You already said it. Aaron, Pablo, Punchy, Mbake, and Go Tano, and Sakrom, Tyflo, Ivo, and Slordon Dice. Who is iPad Air? I see. I'm looking. Viewers can't see it right now. I'm looking at like the lobby, and someone is named iPad Air. I respect you.
iPad Air. That's right. I forgot. Like very commonly, people either alias or are stuck with like a splash tag that they made like maybe like a week ago. So who knows? There is in fact an iPad Air. There is someone named Ow, but like I think we're just waiting. I think Pablo like they just joined, but I don't know. It's like when it comes down to a map like Flounder, I remember the last time I casted a Flounder Heights match. I saw people like that I don't normally see on Luna pick up the Luna, so it's like
yeah. It's like, I mean, it works. This
is Luna. This is
map as well.
Yeah,
it's just an easy weapon to play on this map, and the giant blast radius makes it so much better than the other blasts because you have to really jump up high, which means your shots are already kind of going everywhere. And if you have like a small blast radius, like yeah, okay, cool. The area that they're standing on it's small, but it's still a decent distance from where you would be spamming as a vanilla blaster or maybe as a range blaster if you're feeling cheeky. So I feel like the Luna definitely does help with it a little bit, but I think when you are defending occasionally, I mean that's me personally though. So I think some competitive Splatoon X-Rank players can, you know, dunk on me right now on Twitter or something. But I feel like when you're defending with Luna, it sometimes can be a bit tricky. Because you don't really have the range to defend, you only have the blast radius. You really have to dive in to the lower grounds to defend your spot, which is not really preferred. So it has like its ups and downs. But I do see why a lot of people run Luna. I like it myself on this map as well. Again, like the blast radius is just so nice. And also Luna is just fun to play. It reminds me of Splatoon 1 with quick respawn.
Yeah, you know, like it's...
the good times.
Yeah, back in QR was slightly a little bit more overtuned here, but then, you know, you see a lot of like maybe more prominent Luna players. I think like you mentioned Luna to me, I will think of acing like right off the bat. But we have no more time left to discuss. It's time to get into quarterfinals. Welcome to Flounder Heights. We're seeing Go Natano and Ice and Dice. So I saw a blaster. That's Carbon. Splasher.
Yeah, I saw that. Whoa! Time out. Time out, X-Flow. Whoa. Time out. That's highly unusual. We were talking about Luna Blasters, and then they hit us with the X-Blast. Like, oh, you want something unusual? Also, the Dynamo Roller, which, I don't know. Every time I play it, I just miss everything. Maybe because I'm bad, or maybe because the weapon is bad. I don't know. I don't really care. What I do care about is we already have a super early zone capture by Go Hatano, who captured both zones in an instant, even allowing Dice to get some stuff onto the board and are still holding on strong. They finally lost one zone as Dice is trying to get the other zone here as well. Gets a big splash onto that Carbon Roller Deco and are now slowly advancing forward to zone 2. And there it is. Zone 2 captured for a fraction of a second because Godotano also captured zone 1, Frosty. They are going back and forth here on the rooftops.
Yes, going back and forth, but I'm not seeing a lot of movement in terms of the points on Dice's end here. I really do want to commend like their ability to take fights here between Typhlo as well as I think Zekrom on Dice. They're just able to just piece them up and break them down. And look at that. They immediately take back the lead. They're taking the space here. They were seeing, I think that was S-Lord moving in with the Gal, but they get shut down. Punchy's firing off with their Crab Tank here as the rest of Goat Hatano are moving in for the retake here. Zone is in neutral here, but it immediately gets put back in. Here comes Typhlo with the splashdown, and I'm now realizing that Luna, like, I mean, like, obviously you'd go, like, Luna is maybe you'd go Luna maybe on Flounder, but right now Custom Blaster is the word on in this current meta.
I can see why Splashdown is such a nice special to have. I mean, it's not the best special thing in the world, but it does the job fine, and the weapon overall is pretty good. I love playing Custom Blast when I'm playing the Blaster. That's definitely my go-to weapon, as Goat Hatano is slowly holding onto the defense. He's getting 2 beautiful splats against Dice, only losing their Splash Medic. The Carburetor goes in a little bit too aggressively against Ahu and got spelled there. It might start to spell disaster, but I think they have enough time to respawn and reset up the defenses again, because Dice has a decent way to go. Oh, the Carburetor came just back in time to get rid of the 52 Gal. Is 1 HP now though against the Dynamo and decides to jump back out. Very, very smart. That does allow Punchy to go in and gets a trade against that Custom Blaster. And with 3 players down, Frosty, Goat Hatano is holding on strong still and are not looking there to give Dice any chance at all.
I mean, like, do you see Punchy right now? Do you see the height at which they are popping their Crab Tank here? They're in the single digits here. Oh, but the zone is in neutral. Things could, and when I mean could, I'm putting heavy emphasis on the could change. As Goat Hatano are going to be taking Flounder Heights in a knockout.
That was actually really fast for a Flounder Heights game.
Yeah, actually, you're right.
That was really well done. It was really well done from start to finish. I think they had like a bit of a struggle, but they really get their hold onto the zone. But the second that Goat Hatano held onto that zone, like they had like their grip, they pushed players from Dice back, they got the wipeout. That's the second they just did not stop at all. They were unstoppable at that point. I like seeing how that's. I also like that seeing a Carburetor just jump in, get a splat, and just immediately the second somebody tickles him, just dips. It's just like nah. And then 2 seconds later, it just goes back in. Exactly how you should play a Carburetor. But, you know, again, look at these players. I think it's about to be expected.
There's, like, I think Dice was, like, really eager to start fighting here. I think on opening, they were, like, really good at maintaining picks. And the second that they found their space, they moved in. But then Goat Hatano were just able to, I think, they were able to weather the storm here. They were able to, like, methodically retake that here. And then they immediately take back space. And then they get set up again, and then that point again they become unstoppable. Oh man, we're right back to Hagglefish. I mean, it's like we never left.
It's battling pool. You get like 5 maps, and then occasionally you get a 6th.
Yeah, we're seeing like 3 of those. We're seeing 3 of those 5. I saw Hagglefish in this set. I saw Robo Ramen in this set. I saw at the end game 5. I think was meant to be Mako Mart. That's like 3 of the 5 maps that you always end up seeing played on zones, and then that bonus 6 is probably like, I think that bonus 6 would be Scorch Gorge, but that's Scorch Gorge zones. But let's see what Hagglefish is up to.
What even is Scorch Gorge zones, dude? There's like a giant pool in the center.
Yeah, big mountain.
What even is Scorch Gorge? So it's fucking Mount Fuji in there.
Actually,
would it be Fuji? Would it be cold at the top of Scorch Gorge?
No, it's hot.
You know what else is hot? Good segue. This game, because we're about into game number 2, and Goat Hatano is trying to get a 2nd game victory in a row, but Dice probably has something to say about that one. They do capture the zone first, but they did lose 2 players into the process, so how long can they maintain it is the question. So far, it looks like a decent amount, because they scored all the way up to 88 before finally losing a majority of the zone, and now the zone itself. Ahu with a good flank, trying to, you know, revert any damage that has been dealt. And actually doing a decent job here, getting the splat on the Carburetor, but gets splatted by iPad Air, by that pencil. And Frosty, Goat Hatano again early onto the zone.
Yes, but We're seeing Dice trying to flip it again. Typhlo will pop the splashdown. The missiles are coming out from the Frozen. Punchy is in a bit of a pickle here. They do go down to S-Lord. Typhlo, once again, really eager to go in, but they get shut down here. Able to shut down the Gal as well as the Pencil here, as we're now seeing the Frozen as well as S-Lord moving in. The Frozen does go down here. S-Lord, you cannot stop this Gal. They're trying to move forward, but they get finally shut down by Punchy here. We're seeing Typhlo trying to contest the tents here, but they're being shut down by the Carbon as the rest of Goat Hatano are moving in for the flip. That being said, the damage has been dealt. Dice has gotten 45 points, and that's nothing to scoff at, Had.
There's not a penalty for Goat Hatano, so they're not that far away from that lead either. And we saw what they did on Flounder Heights. They're not the team to scoff at either, because the second they get a hold onto the zone, the second set of defense, it's almost over. But so early as they captured it, so early when they lose it, and the late wipe by S-Lord super quickly turns it around. It was 6 points away from the lead though, so they did a decent enough job, I guess, but that was super quick for DICE to just take it back, and maintaining the lead also is just a huge bonus. They have to work through their penalties, so Goat Hatano has some breathing room for now, but for how long is the question. They had a crab tank online, but it's already gone. Tri-strikes are now on the field, and we do see 2 players down on the side of DICE, so that's a delayed wipe actually. Easy capture for Goat Hatano, but they didn't have it captured, Frosty. They finally do, but it was way too late, I think.
Way too late indeed here, because then I think they just poured up all their resources trying to get rid of some certain players here, and then Goat Hatano, they finally regrouped here and were able to get paint on the floor, which is really just what Zones is all about. Punchy almost has their crab ready to go, and if they can get that set up in a really good position, that could be a really good way to maintain their space, because right now they've already gotten their lead. The Corbin is barreling forward. They get rid of the Frozen, they get rid of S-Lord here. Also, we're seeing Typhlo go down here. The Frozen has returned. The Zuka is being fired off by this Carbon Roller, almost getting rid of that Splattershot Pro Frozen, and now S-Lord is trying to move in, trying to get rid of this Carbon sitting behind the chair, and yes, they do go down, and now the rest of DICE are moving forward because they need to. Goat Hatano was in the single digits, and keyword on that was, but right now 57 penalty points have been applied to Goat Hatano. DICE are trying to outpaint them here, but a lot of paint has just been applied by Goat Hatano up until now, as DICE will be able to flip the zone, potentially move forward again. They were trying to scope out Punchy before they jump out, and look out for that splashdown. That won't claim any targets, but that blaster shot will. Typhlo is sending it in, but they go down.
How long can DICE hold onto the zone though? That's the question we all gotta ask right now, because Goat Hatano is eager to get it back. They did lose a player a bit, unfortunately though. The timing wasn't that hot on that one. But they refract that player, and now they're all online and all fighting for that zone. Crab tank out on the field by Punchy, trying to do some damage, primarily pushing people away from the zone. DICE, or Goat Hatano, did go in, did apply another penalty onto DICE, 41 points to be specific. And even now, I think the priority is maintenance, not necessarily a KO. But if you have 3 players down and the zone is blue, that's not maintaining your lead at all. That's kind of giving it away, if you ask me. They do have some time left. But DICE also, they cannot throw anymore. They cannot afford to make mistakes. They don't have a whole lot of time left on their penalty. But they also don't have a whole lot of time on the map. The Carbon indeed gets one. Ooh, they get noticed and lost the initial swing. That cost them so much. It could have been bigger than it was. Pablo dived in, but couldn't find the pick either. And there goes Splashomatic, and they had a huge lead. But look at that. It is fading away from their hands, as Goat Hatano was holding a firm grasp onto game number 1. They slid it away, and DICE takes game number 2. We are going neck on neck. Oh, that Carbon at the end, Frosty. The fact, I think the second they missed that first swing, they knew it was over.
They failed the QT, unfortunately, and that's... Man, Typhlo, you're the only one that's not matching up in the squad position, man. What the hey, dude? But now, DICE has evened up the odds here, and I really just want to give a big shout out to S-Lord here. They're just able to just constantly control the flow of the game. I think they were able to just control the flow of the game really well. They're able to take space here, reclaim space as well here. Also shout out to Typhlo, also known as Awu. They're just able, I think the map geometry on Hagglefish, it allows you to work really well with some of the AoE weapons like buckets and blasters here, and also this carbon roller. They were able to, I think, like take some space as well here. Really strong in holding some like forward positions like switch, and then okay, there's a lot to take in. I think especially just from that last within those last couple of seconds. But the set is tied up. Dice is taking game 1, and game 3 is imminent.
Bro, Ramen. Another one of those maps where weapons like the Slusher and the Blaster and the Carbon Roller work phenomenally. And these players are also maxing out the usage of these weapons. Look at super up close, Frosty. I cannot do that. My camera, like, I can reach all my hand. It's like, I feel like I'm
being grabbed from the screen.
I'm gonna drag you here to the Netherlands, and then we have stroopwafels and kaas. For those of you who don't know what that are, you're missing out. I gave Pat stroopwafels. He was pretty happy. I'll give them again when I'm going to RSL or Octofest or any other land. Anyway, enough yapping, more playing. The Blaster is there, the Carbo is there, Vanilla Bucket is there. All these players are running the weapons that they are supposed to run. Punchy actually get thrown out of their crab tank. They got it early and they lost it early. Very well done by Dice, but it's not enough because Godatano is in control of the zone regardless of that crab tank being on the field or not. Didn't really care about that, but the second they were diving in and losing 3 players in a row, that's when Dice swooped in and took that zone back.
So once again, I just want to give a shout out to like Typhlo, like the custom blaster on Dice. They were just holding down the space, maintaining the picks, even when Gotatano was in control here. They were down on numbers, and then that allowed Dice to just immediately swing that game and all that momentum in their favor. Now we're seeing S-Lord does go down here. We're seeing, I think that was the shots trying to hold down the space. Same thing with the blaster. The sodas are coming out from the Snipe Rider. Here comes a Zuka from the shot. Another Zuka is also coming out from the Carbon Roller, but the Zuka on Dice was able to claim at least 1 pick. The Carbon is barreling forward here, able to get a pick on 2-1, make it 2 as Goat Hatano have flipped the momentum in their favor. That being said, the damage, I keep saying this, the damage is being dealt. Dice got halfway through their points.
That Carbon almost got 3rd player just with the burst bomb, by the way. I don't know if you noticed that. But that Carbon is on fire going in. Oh no! They had the shot on Owl, but they missed it again. Just a little bit too far away. But I love the thinking of the Carbon just diving in. And with the Tactic Cooler, they were able to go back in instantly. And they're still shocking. They're still jumping about. And Dice is still trying to find that Carbon that gets another splat onto S-Lord. And he was looking to dive even further, but no, this time they definitely get noticed by, I believe it was a splatter shot, and got splattered by them. But the lead has been swapped to Godatano. Only 25 ticks remaining for them for a KO. Dice, they have to dive in quickly. They have the specials for it, but do they have the player count? That's the question, because they have an advantage now, and they do luckily capture that zone just in time. 16 points remaining for Godatano for KO Frosty, but I don't think they're going to hold it on to that long. Actually, no, now they've got the pencil. Maybe they did use their blaster, though.
Yeah, I think right now Dice is in a really pickly situation. They have to work. They had to work through all of their penalty, but they were able to work through their penalty relatively quickly. They're already right back into the control of zone just for a moment and right back into it. It is constantly switching things up. The zone is very, very unsure of who it belongs to, but right now it is in control of Goat as they are moving in. They go 2 members down onto Dice, but now 3. It is only Albo just respawning as Goat Hatano are firmly rooting themselves in Dice's courts here. Already they are able to get rid of Pablo. Zekrom is trying to maintain a little bit more space, but no, Dice go 2 members down as this Carbon is making clean work. They do get shut down by Zekrom, who has Flow State activated, but if anything, they need to start acting soon because Goat Hatano are almost at the knockout range, and we're seeing Typhlo. They're going for the flank. The strikes are coming out. Zone is in neutral, but it's only Zekrom left, and Zekrom is nowhere near the zone, and even when they have the Snipe Rider, it can't reach it. So that is game 3 going to Goat Hatano. It is now match point.
It is definitely match point. I liked that wipeout at the end, which technically was, yes, it was a wipeout. But the second someone got splattered, the other guy respawned, so was it really a wipeout? I mean, yeah, but that end though. Wait, did my camera die?
Oh no.
No, did I charge? No, I charged it. No, anyway, that end of the game, the second dice finally, or that Godatano finally got it back. Again, it is so like the second they hold on to the zone and they have their grasp on it, they're not letting go. They're not gonna give you a chance. It keeps on going back again and again. I don't know what the strategy is here. I don't know what the game plan is, but somehow Godatano, they just make it work. And now in match point as well, Dice, they have to pull up their weight, because if they're not winning this here, they're out of the tournament, which, especially for a team like Dice, going out in round 3 would honestly kind of suck.
Yeah, exactly. Here, a lot is kind of riding on Dice at the moment. You want at this point, you have to take the next 2 games if you want to stay in this golden paddling pool bracket. And we saw already like their like potential to take games here, and then their ability to maintain space. We saw them in how do I say this? We saw them in Hagglefish here. We saw them a bit also with their potential to fight in Flounder here. Like, they're really consistent in at least retakes and taking back space. And oh man, this is gonna happen on Scorch. Oh my! I almost said Scotch George again.
Scotch George.
I almost said Scorch George.
Scorch really? George. I mean, okay, I see myself saying that as well, Scorch George. Who would be the George, and why is he scorching hot? Anyway, I'm looking at. Do you see any changes? Actually, I see Tri-Slosher. That's
Tri-Slosher, yes.
Tri-Slosher is a big one.
And also the heavy splatling that has that iPad Air is sporting now.
I feel like if you switch to Tri-Slosher, you definitely gotta get rid of your pencil, unless you're gonna run double tactical, which I don't think you really want to do in a map like Scorch George. I feel like this is definitely the right call from Godatano, because it just allows them to defend the plat with the Tri-Slosher whilst having it splatling on top, just wreaking havoc. It's such a hard thing to break through if you don't really have the weapons for it. They have the pencil for the splatling and the blaster for the Slosher, but I feel like it's a bit tricky for Dice, if you ask me.
It is very tricky indeed here, because like Tri-Slosher is really good into a lot of like the more mobile like frontline options, especially I think like the ones that Dice is bringing. You have Shot in Albo's hands, you have the Gallant S-Lord's hands, and you have Typhlo on the blaster, and Tri-Slosher kind of plays really well into all of those, believe it or not. But then also you just have the amount of paint that is coming out from like everyone on the team. You have the paint from the Splash, you have the paint from the Tri, you have the paint from the heavy splatling, and look at that, they're almost in the teens and eventually the single digits here. They have not let go of zone once, but now as soon as I say that, the heavy splatling has gone down, this Tri splashdown is coming out from the blaster, but that won't matter. The zone may just be in a knockout. It's now in neutral, it is almost all yellow. Dice needs to cap this if they don't want to be knocked out, and there it is. Dice are not going down without a fight.
But that's a huge climb though. That's a delayed wipe on the side of Dice, so as quickly as they got in that zone, they will also lose it just as fast, because Godatano does capture this zone quicker than some other teams occasionally do here on this tournament. Big wave breaker actually coming from that Splash splatling. It won't like probably splat someone, but it will be extremely annoying to deal with that, and now they're gonna put themselves in interesting places. Tactical is also coming out for this huge penalty. They have to break through that. That's like, what, 70 points I thought? I think it was max. That's a big score. That's a big score. It takes a bit of time to break through, but it's already at 27 points remaining, and it's still counting up. There's nobody from Dice even close into that zone. They have to find a way in. Okay, there it is. The Cobra Warrior is down with so special shot from Dice. They have to push in now. It's only 7 ticks of penalty remaining before the zone gets on 2 more points. The 2 players are down. 3 players are down. It's a special alive. And Godatano, I will say it again and again and again. When they are holding on to that zone, they are not letting go. And with an amazing match so far in a 3-1 scenario, unfortunately, we have to say goodbye to Dice. As Godatano takes game 4 and puts themselves into the semi-finals of Battling Pool 370.
Yeah, I think the switch-ups from Godatano like really mattered on a map like Scorch George. There it is, Scorch George. But I think when you have like the heavy splatling set up on a very like important high ground like the mid tower, coupled with the potential that there could be a slosher or a splash like whenever you drop here, those are really threatening if you aren't able to deal with that here. I think what I noticed, like I think at the end, was that a lot of the people from Dice were trying to drop down into their right right side drop, but then you have Pablo waiting with the Tri-Slosher, and then they just immediately make quick work of that here, and then when you have the rest of the team Punchy firing off with the Crab Tank, you have, I think that's Prosper firing off, is that Prosper? Yeah, I think that's Prosper firing off with the, yeah, I think, yeah, that was, not Prosper, Prosper's on, is that Prosper? I don't even know. I don't even see. I think Prosper's there. Yeah, I think it was Prosper firing off.
I couldn't tell you, to be honest.
Was that Dryan?
Prosper
was on pink. Oh, that was 2 games ago. What the? Dude, that was like last set. Was that okay? I think that was Bake. I think that was Bake. The Frost internal systems have started to malfunction. I'm starting to mix up names. Bake on the Splatling. I think, like, especially now that we've been seeing a lot more Splatlings, within this meta right now. We've been seeing a lot more pencil heavy players, kind of like maybe lean towards that. Especially, I've been seeing Bake bring out the Splatling in Global Gauntlet. So interesting, like really interesting to see someone that's like playing a lot of like pencil, also leader go to Splatling. So there's that, and there's the set. So Go Tano, they have their tickets punched to semifinals where they're going up against, another heavy hitter lineup of Silver, Devin, Phoenix, and Antoine in members of Full Bet.
That's a scary one. That's definitely a scary one. But for those of you who are going to watch the set, I have some bad news. Or good news. It kind of depends if you like us or not. But that was our set, Frosty.
I think it is, yes.
I think that was us on the mic, because we are about to switch to our next set of casters. Some people like to announce them. I'll let them announce themselves. But Frosty, before we go off and say goodbye to this wonderful, wonderful tournament, I had a blast casting you again. It's been a hot minute, but it's always so funny, even though I'm not Gen Z enough for all the cast maxing that you do.
You're still on the Moggers? You're still thinking about the Moggers?
I'm still thinking about the Moggers. I will never stop thinking about the Moggers. They're my heroes. Before we go off, I do have one question to ask you. Where can I find the lovely viewers? Where can I find you on the internet?
Of course, you guys can find me. There's my Twitter at TK_Frostix. My Blue Sky is below at frostix.bluesky.social. You can also go to my YouTube channel. It's just Frostix. There's some really cool things on the horizon for me. You can find me casting for Dapple, for IPL, and in the Splatoon Toronto scene. So yeah, what about you, Hat?
You can find me at @casterhead on Twitter, or you can find me at @casterhead.nl on Blue Sky. I don't want to use social media that much though, so go follow me, I guess.
Yes,
and
understandable.
We will see you, well, not us, but the stream. We will see you in a little bit right after this break. Thank you so much for watching, and don't go anywhere, because there's still the semifinals and the finals and for you here on stream. So a lot of stuff still happening. Don't go anywhere, because we'll be back after a short break.
When am I gonna left?
I'm watching left guy.
Hey, jump. They're jumping in front.
Now we're back to a fight for the zone. Both of these teams are around, but 2 down on to PXG for Crab Tank.
Dead! Zone, ping! Oh, catch it! Oh.
No, dude, don't do this! Come on, kill!
Nice.
Strike!
Splatoon Stronghold, a stronghold for competitive Splatoon, providing resources to long-timers and newcomers alike. If you're new to the competitive scene or still figuring out how to join, we have a getting started guide and plenty of other resources to help you in your journey. If you are a seasoned veteran, we still have plenty to offer. You can find and join tournaments as well as participate in our Captain Forum and find free agents and teams. Our mission is to make competitive Splatoon easily accessible to everyone. So what are you waiting for? Join the Splatoon Stronghold today!
changed, my heart could not contain the miracle of this world and all that it creates. With every passing day, the winds might grow stronger and carry us away, but we will hold on to joy to light the way, to keep the reminder that love does not escape. I'm yours forever. There is no end in sight for us, nothing could measure the kind of strength inside our hearts. It's all connected. We're all together in this love, don't you forget it. We're all connected in this love. Even if each of us are miles and miles away, we'll build a bridge from our love to come back home again. With every passing day, the winds might grow stronger and carry us away, but we will hold on to joy to light the way, to keep the reminder that love
Welcome one, welcome all. We are back for Golden Paddling Pool number 307, your special edition of Paddling Pool, if you will. Golden Edition, zones only. My name is Rocket, joining me, topic on the other side. We're looking now at semifinals. Only 4 teams remaining, as a matter of fact. The other side of the bracket has already finished up, so we already know one of the teams making it to finals. Goats Hanato, I think, is the name of that.
Hatano. Yeah,
Hatano.
Hatano.
Thank you. Hatano.
You're welcome.
Over there, getting the upset over Full Bet, a team that I'm sure a lot of people were expecting to make it all the way. And speaking of upsets, similar story here with looking at our next matchup between Sulla and New Meta. Sulla getting the upset over Grief, a 3-1 victory, and running a very, very unique comp to do so.
Yeah, well, we're gonna see if that unique comp's gonna work out on a map that's not really played that often on Flounder. Never mind, I lied. On Mako Mart, more basic, a more well played, a more kind of standard map, I will say. So enough of the chattering. We're getting straight into this. Both these teams are just ready to go, ready to punch their way into finals. We see a bamboo on the side of, I believe that's New Meta. Yeah, New Meta with the bamboo. You know what? It is New Meta. I'm here for it. Never mind, switch it around. Solo with the bamboo, and then New Meta bringing out kind of a very interesting comp, I will say. Brush plus Dapples plus heavy plus not a very aggressive comp, very like in your face flanky comp. We're gonna see if that's gonna work out for them. But so far, they're gonna get a nice couple picks as well, just trying to take over a lot of the stacks, make sure that the bamboo can't do anything going. And so far, they're doing a really great job of that. It was almost immediately they're putting the pressure to Sulla and getting a nice pick as well and forcing them to his left hand side.
Yeah, and you see Lucas, that Brush on the side of New Meta, doing what Brushes do best, being that distraction, and like you mentioned, the other aggressive weapon on that side, that blue Dapples, being able to have 2 weapons that are able to cause chaos and kind of just exist in your backline and draw so much attention, gives your other weapons so many opportunities to maybe pincer off of that. I mean, you see Lucas already taking this left side flank, being able to kind of clean up on that attempted retake that Sulla was trying to make and completely shut down any form of operation. And that's exactly the type of comp that New Meta is running. That's exactly the win condition that they're really looking for, which is causing disruption and causing these more faulty retakes.
Disruption. Speaking of disruption, you gotta see it right there a little bit. The 52, we're just behind New Meta the entire time, keeping Snack away, keeping the Brush away. It's gonna work out for a little bit here, but not able to get their team anywhere close to getting the zone retake. We're gonna see here as New Meta is slowly eating through their penalty points. Kind of have to force a fight as best as they can, though. Him's gonna go down. It's just 3 members left. 2 are gonna go down. The last 2 kind of stuck in the corner. The 52 not gonna be allowed to play the game. It's just the Wiper is gonna get one, fighting the way out this corner, but they have to go now. Unfortunately, no teammates around them. Gonna have to kind of rush this zone through a 96 and through a knot. It's not going to work out, and New Meta, they did a really, really good job, I will say, of not kind of folding to the flanks, because I think for a solid, like 30 seconds, the 52, him was behind was behind them in their base. They had one person looking at him, and they made sure that Lucas could not do anything, and they dealt with the rest of the team. Hey, right here, they were behind them, and Storm said, hey, watch out, and they just ignored him, made him jump away, and that's what kind of gave them the win. It was just like acknowledging the flank, but not sending too many bodies after it.
Yeah, a bit of a weakness that running a backless comp can bring is not having that reliable ranged option. Of course, you have the bamboo there to be your pseudo backline for the comp that Sulla is running, but with a comp like New Meta that relies heavily on that Brush Dapple combination, that heavily relies on causing those distractions that was mentioned before, you need to be able to have some kind of stopping power. You need to have some kind of interceptor. And although on paper the weapons that Sulla was bringing out, I mean the Gal, the Wiper, they have the capabilities to really win these fights, and especially with the Gal being able to stall with that wall. It was, in fact, them Sulla themselves getting stalled on that left side. I mean, New Meta basically just kind of centered 3 players around that side, forcing Sulla to drop into very, very murky waters, and just unable to break from the lockout is really what separated New Meta from what Sulla was attempting to do, because you saw at least some attempts, you saw at least some processes being developed in terms of Sulla trying to get in, but as soon as it started, it quickly ended with maybe 1 or 2 going down, with new meta just being able to play intercepts. So that's something that Sulla is going to have to work through, be able to kind of stop that. And we see that comp switch that maybe leans into that a little bit more now with the heavy splatling, actually on both sides as well. Still with the brush and dualies on the side of new meta, but both sides now running that heavy splatling.
I mean, yeah, that extra help against rushdowns can be very, very big for Sulla. New meta having that extra pace support is going to be very, very helpful as well. But you see, that Vag is going to be really helpful at getting Lucas and Storm just getting up on that ramp as far as possible. Isabel's going to be there. Unfortunately, they're going to get shut down by this hammer. Hammer and respond by Lucas just barreling forward. Going to get shut down by him on that heavy edit. And you see, Storm, very aggressive spot. Very good spot, I will say, if you are them, because you kind of force Sulla to go right through you or go underneath, where they have such a massive height disadvantage here. And so far, new meta is just running away with that game. The Vac here to make it even harder for Sulla to get anything going. Dragon trying to go on a bit of a flank, getting a lot of attention towards themselves, but that zone is still ticking. The time is still running off. They're marked, they're noticed, they're damaged, able to cause a distraction for long enough to get the rest of the team into the zone, plus that wave breaker as well to help out a little bit. You saw a jump for Lucas trying to go in. Unfortunately, Isabel, wrong place, wrong time, and Sulla will finally break through that hold and now start to try and push back new meta, but this Vax make it very, very hard for him to do that.
Yeah, Homogeneous on that Vac 96, being able to provide that giant barrier of a shield to be able to kind of be the spearhead for new meta's retakes, and just as quickly as they lost the zone, new meta snatches it right back from Sulla's nose tips. But still very, very contested in this mid area, as both sides just trading out specials, trying to see who will fall first. And who will fall first? That is Sulla's Gal, already down 4v3 happening with advantage on the side of new meta. They typically don't let these opportunities go far past them, as you see right back in control of that zone. Isabel on this left side, a nice pick onto that Viper, and now this is all it takes sometimes, a little bit of momentum. You see the heavy splatling showing its use there, being able to cause that stall here in mid with hammers being thrown to left, right, and center. Finally, though, Sulla almost out of that penalty, but still just a lot of painting happening in mid, but neither side being able to get that strong foothold until now.
Yep, that Vac from Snack's gonna come out, get a nice kill with the Vac shot itself. World kind of forced their way in. It's not gonna work. That Wavebreaker doing just enough to get enough chip damage on, and now we're kind of back to where we were at the beginning of the game. Sulla is pushed really, really far back. New meta in a good spot. They have Snack on the bottom side, building up that Vac for any kind of counter pushes. You have Storm just keeping a watchful eye on the ramp. Two are gonna go down there. One to Isabel, one to Lucas. Dragon trying to shark away, waiting for that Vac. Is gonna get Isabel down, looking for Lucas, not quite able to get them, but the Vac shot, getting another 2. Snack doing a great job of holding it on. Him's last, they're gonna go down. It's just Harris on the zap, and it's not going to be enough. And new meta with a very, very dominant game number 2, and I will say the switch over for Snack, or Homogeneous as you call them, that really did help both Lucas and Isabel kind of, you know, force their way in, because that giant, like, invincible tornado, as I like to say, just kept them protected from basically anything, and it worked out really, really well in their favor. And Sulla just really didn't have a way to deal with the Vac. Yes, they had the whales, yes, they had the wave breaker as well, but it just felt like they just didn't have them at the time that they needed it. Every time that they wanted to push in, all they had was they just had to fight it head on, and as you saw, that just didn't really work well in their favor.
Yeah, you had the adaptations from Sulla being able to switch over to the heavy splatling, which you saw firsthand. Kenshin, when they were being rushed down by those Dapples, they were able to stall them out and just straight up mow them down, but the adaptation to the adaptation, that Vac, like you mentioned, proved to be the deal breaker, proved to be that X factor, and you saw it there, because after that initial great
initial team fight win and that great hold from New Meta, it was basically all dead even, a stalemate's tug of war in that mid area with specials being traded, 1-for-1s happening. Not really much of the advantage to either side, but all it takes was that one vac to be popped on the elbow position. A very chokeholdy type of map where there's really only one good entrance to come from. Of course, you can drop down that left side. It is a little bit murky waters there, but just having that entire barrier of just saying, hey, you can't deal with this and we can take this space now was just key to New Meta being able to create that lockout again.
Yeah, and as we go to Umami Ruins Splat Zones, I do think the VAC might stay, because a little bit like Ramen, there is that kind of chokehold area that is going to be very, very big for New Meta to hold. And no, switching back over to their first game's comp, and the only switch up from game 1 to now is Dragon going over to the Kraken shot, maybe to kind of force fights more, maybe to kind of as like a maybe a panic option to help as well, maybe a bit more fighting as well. And so far they've been fighting really well, as Scylla getting a nice 2 members down, not falling to Isabel or to Storm's 96 or 52 or no Nautilus. And you see almost right away Scylla doing a great job even using that advantage to just keep up the pressure. Unfortunately, no hammer is gonna come out. Lucas though, you see them on the flank, the team's gonna go in right with that. Isabel, nice damage, Dragon to go down, another one's gonna jump in. Just a lot of carnage on the zone and top mid here. You see just both these teams jostling for position here. Hammer's gonna be thrown, no one's gonna go down to it, and New Meta, they finally found their footing to just find their way in, and they're able to get the zone back.
Yeah, if you don't have that vac, you have Lucas. If you don't have Lucas, you have Isabel. And New Meta has done a really good job at following up on their advances, really being able to make sure their aggression doesn't go unnoticed, or at least untraded out with, as constantly you just see Lucas just in the midst of the action trying to draw as many eyes as possible. And that's really the dilemma that Brush brings, as you have World here in this middle area trying to see if they can stay alive. Top mid, a very good cheeky point to hold here. You get that high ground, you have that painting advantage, and you really have that slight range advantage, but finally you see now a little bit more of that strength of Scylla as 2 go down actually on at that left side zone, with World being the last one standing. Gonna get re-slidered out. That is a delayed wipe, with Scylla now being in another lockout situation. So as Game 1 and Game 2 proved, New Meta have their opportunities. They have been able to execute on these lockouts so effectively, and it's continuing here with another 3 down. No penalty now for New Meta as they continue to tick and continue their dominance. Will Scylla have any answer to this?
That's a very good question. I think the answer to that is, can they deal with Isabel, who got that basically triple, who kind of initiated that triple 3 down once again. And now if you're Scylla, you kind of have to just rush forward here. Dragon doing exactly that, getting a lot of damage, but no picks just yet, just dancing around topside, able to get 1 down, stay alive, but not for long though. A flank from him is gonna go down. World just holding on for dear life and then get collapsed on there from the rest of the members, and Lucas cleaning that up. And New Meta with a little bit more time to work with, this may be a very quick 3-0. Dragon is dropping in a very uncomfortable situation for them. Him looking to just paint the zone as best as possible, but Isabel is going to get them down, 3 down once again. And can you believe it? New Meta, a very, very quick, very good 3-0, I will say. And I think, as I said earlier, Isabel really was the catalyst to that game win, because they flanked around from the right side to the left side, and they got a 3 down, I believe, by themselves. So that just kind of let the rest of the team fall forward and keep up that pressure. And then once that happened, they just got 3 down once again. They had Lucas, they had Isabel, they had Storm's Reign as well, just putting up a ton of pressure that Scylla just could not deal with. And by the time they finally got to mid, by the time they finally got to a spot where they could possibly affect the zone, you can see right here, New Meta, they're already back in the zone. They were already back to just kind of collapse on anybody who tried to flank, who tried to paint the zone. And unfortunately, that's all she wrote for Scylla.
Yeah, and you saw a lot of it. I feel like New Meta had this set in the palm of their hand. I mean, it was played out pretty similarly throughout all 3 of those maps, where all it took was new meta to get a strong hold, and Sulla could not get back in. And you saw that really with the core of how new meta loves to play, which is just you have these two frontliners that are not afraid to die at all. You see them constantly going in, being in the midst of battle, and yeah, maybe they get in, they don't really get that much value, but it felt like a lot that Sulla was playing reactionary, playing to how new meta wants to play, and you saw that a lot of them just trying to play catch up instead of playing to stay ahead, which is what new meta did, and really allowed them to control that table. So, like you mentioned, a clean 3-0 as now. Just like that, a very quick set means a very quick next set, which will be our finals here for Golden Paddling Pool 370. Who will win it all? Here you already have Goat Hanato waiting for new meta.
I mean, kind of to go back a little bit to the last set or set we just watched, I think you kind of said it as good as I wanted to, honestly, where new meta, they got to play their game basically. And it, like you said, I felt like Sulla, they were reactionary. They were trying to clean up the best I could. They tried to clean up a bullet hole with the bandage. Right? Like there was a lot of damage already done. They tried to go take these really quick fixes, these like really quick one down situations. They got pain on their own. And it felt like they just couldn't get it all together, right? Because every time that they tried to get back into zone, guess what? Someone was there. Guess what? There was a rain. Guess what? You had Lucas, and then you had Isabel just being demons, basically, just getting as many people as possible before going down. So I think new meta, they played their game really well. They were allowed to play their game really well, and it just worked out for them. And now we're gonna see how Goat Hanato is going to stack up to these, because I believe, if I recall correctly, that Goat Hanato had a carbon heavy comp, if I recall correctly. And I think that it will kind of be a thorn in the side of new meta, only because carbon kind of not shuts down per se, but it does really, really well into brush. It kind of, I believe the vertical flick does outrange it, and it can one tap a brush, and I think it does decently with proper paint, of course, into dualies as well. So I think the goal for new meta is just locate the carbon, get the carbon, and focus on the rest of the team. I think that's what their plan is.
Yeah, they're coming off of a very fire-blazing win as well against Fullbet, who is basically just EZMD. That's basically what that team was consisted of. Silver, Devin, Phoenix, Anthony is the only person that wasn't a part of that. And Goat Hanato, that's Frutella. That is basically Frutella, which is kind of interesting to think about when you think about the previous, the most recent Ludi season. Who was first and second again? Oh, right, it was EZMD and Frutella. So, Frutella getting revenge for that, and now in a 3-1 fashion, no less as well. So a convincing win over that means they're also blazing throughout this tournament so far. So it's all going to come to a head now with both these sides getting those upsets. And now with just 5 potential games switching between the two, let's see what we have in store for us.
Yep, and we're going to go to Undertow. Your glass, very, very important here. Both these teams know that, both switching over to that heavy splatling. Like I said, Carbon's going to come out. That crab from Punchy's going to be very, very impactful as well. You got to be very, very careful here if you're new meta pushing in a bit too far in case you had to deal with that Carbon. And so far, a lot of trades coming out. 3 down for a new meta, almost instantly kind of collapsing onto, I believe, the Tri-Slosher there and getting kind of punished for it really, really quickly. And now new meta is really pushed back here. They have these aggressive weapons trying to force their way in, but Wavebreaker, kind of the unsung hero of just disincentivizing both Isabel and Lucas from pushing in too far.
Yeah, and the debate has been had really between those two frontline choices. Do you prefer those Dapples or do you prefer that Tri-Slosher? But both sides running very aggressive weapons in that aspect. It really comes down to the other 2 weapons, which will be the supportive splash for Goat Hanato and that 96 gal, which I could think is going to be the X factor here. Can homogenous really be able to utilize that range and kill power to their advantage, and it did look like they're doing a really nice job of just spacing out that left side, with now going for a right side retake is Goat Hanato, not being able to find much with that Reef Slider. 2 players down, as now Goat Hanato will be able to move in pretty convincingly, Storm being cleaned up at the tail end. Now an opportunity for a strong retake.
Yeah, you see almost immediately here, Punchy is going to build up that crab. They have it on that top right side. Very dangerous. If you're going to drop Isabel, first one to go down here. Crab's coming out, kind of clearing out Storms as possible. Lucas, though, on the other side, just kind of distracting, kind of what they did in the last set. It's going to work out for now, but Go Hanato, again, not folding that far. As you see, they are going to go down there, kind of forced to give up zone here for a second here. Punchy is going to go down, and that will, I believe, be zone flip. Yes, it will for a new meta, but I can really give it to Go Hanato for not folding. They really didn't give up that much space here with another pick on the Storm, getting rid of that backline plus heavy. A lot of damage going to be done here to Go Hanato, as now new meta trying to once again force their way in, because it feels like Go new meta has kind of been shut down a little bit. Their run at you playstyle, their hold forward playstyle kind of gets not countered by heavy, but it does get like stymied by heavy. It makes sure that you can't just hold W and win the game.
Yeah, both sides, and running that heavy, both slides have that real enforcer to really stop things down. You see Storm there doing just that to Punchy, who tried to make an attempt on that right side, yet again finding another one onto the opposing heavy splatling. So it may come down to which heavy splatling has set themselves up nicely in that mid area, who's able to kind of stand there and force the other one to push into them. That Zuka coming cross map from this Carbon could potentially cause that damage that is needed, but still new meta holding on to that lead, still in good condition there, quickly being switched over, however, and still plenty of time for this to be a completely different story. But so far new meta controls the floor.
I mean, yeah, but you see the Carbon in the backline's getting 2 before going down. It's just Lucas there. The Carbon for Go Hanato, again, getting a lot of attention on themselves. It's getting a lot of picks as well, forcing back a new meta. Lucas somehow getting a trade out of it, and now it's just a heavy on Go Hanato, forced to back up a little bit, but not too far. As you see, they're doing a great job of holding spine here, which is very great at both getting jumps in and still being able to affect the zone somewhat, and being able to make sure that your presence is still felt here, as Go Hanato is just battling over mid here. The jumps are coming in from new meta, but not quite able to get a solid foothold. As you see, they're just trying to drop in mid once again. Snack getting 1, Lucas following up. No, they're gonna go down. The car gets 2 with 1. Oh my god, a 2-for-1 special, why don't you? And now new meta, even though they're not reeling, that's gotta sting at least a little bit.
You don't see verticals get 2 with Carbons that often, let alone having them line up perfectly like that. And off of that energy, Goat Hanato taking that lead, 45 seconds left, so now time running out for new meta to make this one competitive. Still doable, however, as you've seen how well they've been able to create lockout situations, but not if they get wiped out themselves in that crucial moment. 30 seconds left means there's probably only 1 or 2 more attempts. You just have this heavy splatling, though, just holding down that mid area, daring anybody to move forward. Not going to be able to have your frontliners push that heavy splatling away, so you really need to develop those specials. Isabel close to a reslider here could potentially be the thing that breaks things open. 2 down there, quickly traded out by that tri-slot. 10 seconds left. You just need to get one of these zones to maybe get some roots in to try to get the both sides. Holding it down, mowing everyone down, finding 3, and that is it for new meta. 1, 2, 3, mow them down. Goat Hanato takes game 1.
Yeah, the heavy's good. You can't, like we've been saying, you can't rush at heavy. That's exactly what happened. It was just the heavy for Goat Hanato. They held their ground. That wave breaker did a really great job of just pointing people out, and just They held their ground, got 3 down because new meta, they had to get the zone. They had to do something there. And unfortunately, they just ran into an unmovable object, also known as the heavy splatling. So new meta, they were right there, but it's just maybe a lapse in judgment, maybe just trying to force a fight, maybe just trying to get a single pick, kind of maybe a bit of an ego, I would say, just trying to say, oh, we got this, no problem. And that was kind of their undoing, as now I believe they're down for the first time like in this entire tourney.
Yeah, and just another look at that insane vertical, by the way. I feel like they just got a little bit antsy just in those final moments as well. You saw the little bit of impatience, and sometimes they'll come down to bite you. But I did mention earlier within that match, it was a key factor that was gonna come down to which heavy was able to kind of set up the first, which heavy will force the other one to push into them. And we saw why. I mean, you saw that as soon as that heavy splatling iPad just was able to hold into mid and then like, hey, come and get me. New meta just really didn't have an answer to it. And like you were just talking about, the counter pick, Splat Zone's Wahoo, is a very unique one.
Okay, how do I... It's like, it makes sense for new meta because you can use the underneath side really well. You know, you have Brush and Dooley, you can flank really well. You're kind of forcing new meta, you're forcing Goat Hanato, excuse me, to like look underneath there and get resources off of the zone. I think you keep the 96, no, I think you keep the heavy. I think heavy is a really good option here because again, you can clear Sprinkler really good. Just in general, it's a small zone as well. So slide, I believe this is one of the maps where a slider can still insta cap, if I recall correctly, or at least very very close to insta capping. So that's very good for them. Lucas can kind of be that being a distractor once again, like we saw in the last game and the previous set that we watched here. So I actually like the pick here. I think it's very unconventional, of course, but I think this can work out if both Lucas and Isabel are able to get eyes on them in the backlines and not be kind of held up by iPad here on possibly the heavy splatling. Yeah, keep it a heavy. Pablo, interestingly, going over to the both sides going over to the red Dapple. So very interesting, I will say. Hold on, one more thing. Snack has 96 as well, again. Or the back one.
And I was just about to mention that. I was holding my breath for that, and the reason why for that red Dapples is of course that cooler, but remember last set what new meta ran on Robo Ramen, that vac. That vac broke the stalemates that was really being had, so they're really relying on that. New meta is to maybe be the answer to this heavy spot, like saying, yeah, sure, shoot into this vacuum, see what you can do about it. And same with the map choice, like you were just talking about earlier. This more open map leads itself to more angles that you have these more frontline weapons to deal with. As a matter of fact, you already see Isabel lurking down there, actually choosing to jump out, of course, for that cooler, but maybe looking now for more aggressive moves. Not until the carbon is there, though, to flank it. I believe it also took out that back. You make that 3 in a quick wipeout for Goat Hanato, wasting no time to repeat that success from the previous match.
I mean, that carbon just being an absolute demon on the bottom side, but Isabel running straight ahead, able to get 2 members down of Goat Hanato. You see the vac coming out. No one's gonna be around there. They know what to expect. They're gonna shoot the vac. Able to get a pick on Pablo, I believe, but I see a Lucas flanking, getting 1, getting 2 as well with Punchy. So that means no heavy, no wave breaker, no crab. So new meta in a very good spot, I will say. They have eyes on that top left side. They're gonna kind of rotate over if they see anybody going mid or going to the right plat. So I think they're in a really good spot to keep this lockout happening, as the carbon going down is a very very big issue for Goat Hanato. The crab getting shut down by the ink vac as well, kind of solo doing it. And now new meta, they're trying to just hold it as much as possible. Pablo getting a nice one there, but Punchy's gonna follow up on it and recapture the zone. So a very very back and forth game, I will say. A lot of picks coming out in mid, just everywhere.
A lot of this map so far has been, okay, I'm gonna flank you, but can you outflank my flank? It's just been both of those frontline players is constantly being behind each other. You see it right there. You have the Brush going behind the carbon to catch them before they can take out their own teammates, before they were flanking Lucas again, causing havoc. But that's exactly what you expect when you have 2 Dapples in the match, a Carbon, and a Brush. I mean, you have everyone just constantly being on edge, have to keep looking behind you to be sure there isn't a flanking player. But still, new meta with that impressive lockout earlier, stand strong with this lead yet again, though it can turn on a dime. They were leading in that previous match, so 2 disconnects for new meta.
I think it's also way too late. I think it was like under 50 and less than 2 minutes. So unfortunately for New Meta, I believe they're forced to play it out. I don't know.
Yeah, we're just having a little bit of fun here in this mid area. Either that or New Meta has already seen the overwhelming odds that they placed them at, and kind of just given this forehand. So pretty sure that this will count here. No,
Oh,
maybe not.
maybe
this
not.
will be a gentleman's handshake to maybe replay that, but yeah, we'll get word on that soon enough. But I do love the adaptations that New Meta did make, though, with that vacuum, and you saw it really be able to answer the crab and answer the heavy that Goat Hanato was heavily relying on in that previous game.
Yeah, and I think before the DCs, we saw it kind of a little bit before this clip here, where Snack just kind of what's the word? They just kind of nulled the entire crab from Punchy, and it kind of allowed New Meta to kind of keep that space, because now if you're Punchy, if you're Go Hanato, your main way in being that crab was just gone. You really couldn't do anything about it. It was more like, okay, I have to just roll away. I can't do anything. So great job by New Meta by not folding and by just kind of face tanking the crab, as I could put it. They just kind of made it so it was gonna be basically impossible for New Meta to get anywhere, to get anything going. They kind of had to divert their plans. They kind of had to kind of freestyle something. But we're gonna see, as we're gonna get in the actual game number 2. Both these teams have agreed to gentlemen's this to, you know, get the full experience. Of course, no comp changes are allowed, and both these teams are gonna stick to that.
Yeah, so now I wonder if that element of, I guess, surprise is gone now for New Meta running that vacuum. Maybe Goat Hanato is a little bit more aware, and maybe a couple more fights will go differently, but we'll have to wait and see with both sides in that previous fake game 2, if you will. Both of them being able to just constantly get flanks off each other. Nice hammer throw, plus the flank from Isabel on the Dapples would lead to a quick 3 down for in favor of New Meta, who have now settled themselves up really nicely in that mid area. You know how dangerous they are on lockouts, as we saw in that previous set. You do have a Goat Hanato, though. Having that crab, you do have to worry about that Vac, who I don't think is in rotation right now, as you see Punchy using it uncontested by the Vac so far, causing that havoc in mid.
I mean, but even in mid, Lucas is in the backline, getting a lot of damage off. Only one pick, though, when you see New Meta with that vacuum once again, kind of just nulling the attacks from Go Hanato. It's gonna work out. 2 members down. iPad's gonna go down as well, and with only the Carbon remaining, they have to kind of force a fight here. If not, this is just game. Zuka, no picks gonna come out for it just yet. Lucas is gonna hide, looking for a pick here. 1 gonna go down, 2 gonna go down. It's just iPad and Punchy. They're painting the zone as best as they can. Punchy's gonna go down. iPad is going to try their hardest, but it's not going to work. And talk about a completely different game. Like the first game too, it was very back and forth. It was, yes, New Meta, they did have kind of a good hold there. I believe it was like 30 to like 50 was the score, somewhere around there. But in this one, it was just, all right, we know their game plan, let's just run at them, and it worked out really well in their favor, as they got 100-0. That's good. That's good if you're New Meta.
Yeah, and I was the messenger of warning of, this is kind of just what New Meta does sometimes. You saw it a lot in that previous set, and you saw it play out right there, where they just give up no grounds, and all it takes is maybe 1 or 2 opportunities for one of those flankers to really get around, and your retakes are cooked. I mean, that's sometimes all it takes. You have 1 bad retake in a bad spot. You have 2 retakes, game's over. And that's sometimes how it really happens. But still, though, I do applaud the sportsmanship from Goat Hanato to replay that one fully, because not entirely sure on the rules per se, but they could have easily taken that with the DC. So nice playing it out. We will see game 3 coming up soon. Another interesting counterpick choice, Squad Zones for Flounder Heights. Our next one.
It makes sense in my mind because they have Carbon. Carbon takes advantage of the ledges or of the walls really well. They also have Crab kind of goes crazy on this map. If you're able to get up on like the bunker, like the bunker wall, if you ever get up there, that's kind of just GG's. So that's be very helpful. If they keep dualies, I could also see it working as well. But if you keep dualies for this map, you are kind of giving Isabel a bit of a lot of room to work with. And I think honestly, I think this is a really good map for Go Hanato, because not that it shuts down Brush, but it makes Lucas's job a whole lot harder to like get around them, because you gotta go through mid. You have to go through either the trench area or up the walls, and you will be seen. Dynamo, okay, that's different.
We see a Dynamo coming up from new meta, but I think the more interesting choice is, I think the main reason why Go Hanato wanted to pick this map was so Pablo could go back on that Tri-Slosher. We saw it cause a lot of damage in that game 1. Game 2, we couldn't see much use out of it because Tri's not really the best on Wahoo World, but now on Game 3, Flounder Heights makes total sense. But the Dynamo adaptation from new meta might counter that counter, so to speak, here. But first 30 seconds of things, not really much happening, just trying to get up those initial specials, but like you mentioned, Crab can prove to be very dangerous with Punchy already building that up, poking out and chipping away at new meta.
I mean, yeah. And so far, new meta is going to be able, or is going to go 2 down. It's just Storm there, just dealing with Pablo. Unfortunately, they're going to stay alive. No, they're going to go down, but not before getting, I believe, 2 members out of it here. And you see the Reef Slider coming out, getting that zone. Pablo jumping in is going to go down as well. It's just Punchy, who is still alive. They're still here. They got 1. They got 2, giving their team just time to get back into mid here. Unfortunately, they're going to go down. Storm is going to push up here against iPad and force them away. And it's just a very, very hard map to push on against a Dynamo plus Heavy. There's so much paint, there's so much damage, so much AoE going down that if you step too far close, like Punchy just found out, you gotta just go down here. And so far, for a new meta, it's working out really well in their favor. They're really good at holding, they're really good at, pushing forward here with Isabel on that Reef Slider, just causing a lot of damage, but so far, they're just keeping it up really, really nicely.
I argue the Dynamo choice is similar. It will provide a similar effect to that 96 vac, because now, especially on these holds, now you have to push into a Dynamo and a Heavy Splatling. Ouch. Like, that's really hard to do into, and Punchy's Crab is going to have to be that answer to dislodge those weapons, and you see it's really being able to clear that left side. You have Lucas sharking here, just waiting for Punchy to drop down. A nice 1-for-1. That splash support now down. The Zuka being forced out as well to create another special just to say, hey, you gotta move, but it's not really to the effect that Go Hanato was really looking for, as you still have the Heavy Splatling pretty much posted up on this right side, providing that covering fire for any of their teammates. Lucas still around on this left side, just waiting for that answer, trying to see if anyone dare approaches them, but time ticking down, points ticking down. Punchy just trying to avoid their own zone being ticked down, but slowly after slowly, it seems like new meta just constantly losing points left, right, and center. The Reef Slider was forced out. Crab here not really being able to find much as we finally tick down to those final 11 ticks.
Oh no.
You just see the constant back and forth, slowly but surely, death by 1,000 cuts. Will new meta stand alive? Finally, though, something breaks
Lucas.
as Pablo's able to get that flank and finally break that excruciating stalemate.
I mean, yeah, Heavy Dynamo on this map. Height advantage, very, very tough to work through here. Able to get 2 down. It's going to be Go Hanato. It's just iPad left. Lucas is still behind them. We saw them earlier. Just get behind them. Cause a lot of distraction here. They're still going to be there. 2 members down for Go Hanato once again. And I believe new meta, they used Lucas's distraction really, really well to get back into zone, to get back into the groove of things. And now, back to Snack and Storm just sitting here. You cannot contest that zone. You have to move at least one of them if you want to get back into it. 9 seconds to go left in this game. So far, Go Hanato, it feels like they've barely had control of mid. Every time they've tried, they just can't. There's always a Heavy, there's always a Dynamo, there's always someone behind them. There's always something that's like distracting them away from the zones to keep their attention elsewhere. And you see this bunker is not safe. The Crab is going to come out finally to cause a little bit of mayhem in the backlines of new meta, But again, it took about, what, 45 seconds for that to happen. And even after all that, Zone is still not flipped for Gohanto. Isabel does Reef Slider, not able to get any picks, but a lot of damage, a lot of movement coming out from the side of Gohanto. And we're back to it once again. What do you do? They're still alive. They can back up like it's nothing. Storm and Snack, Dynamo plus Heavy, the deadliest combo on this map.
Can we get a counter for how many times it has said they lost control, they got control? Because I feel like it's near like the tens of times of how many times this one zone has been flipped between a both sides, and it feels like the only thing that's swinging it is the only thing that swings it back and forth is every time that Dynamo swings. 20 ticks left though for Goat Hanato to make this one competitive. A long way to go. You have Lucas still causing this flank, being sharked out by that carbon roller. 10 seconds left. No longer in possession of the zones. Finally breaking out that stalemate yet again is Goat Hanato, but the most important part is trying to maintain it even with having 3 players down. They managed to cause a little bit more disruption, but here is overtime. All you need is one key retake. Lucas is down pretty early, and Punchy does have a crab, so it is a very winnable situation, but not if your Heavy goes down early there. That is a key player down and an opportunity now for New Meta to move in. They need to go in soon, however, Dynamo going down as well. Isabel, the re-slider, didn't really find much. That could have been a misplay there.
That's
you
3.
have just a Heavy Splatling left now on the side of New Meta, maybe using your specials a little bit too early, not being able to get the value out of them. Now it is desperation time for New Meta. You just have the hammer to use, and it is already shut down. Nice one zone now flipping left and right. Both sides losing 2 sides. It is so close, as now it's just a 2v2 in this overtime. You have Pablo there breaking down so much ink on that try, and the jumps coming in from the right, but it won't be enough as such a back and forth, so many zone flips, so many times we have seen these zones just switch colors between blue and orange. Goat Hanato crawl right back and take and basically steal game 3.
That's gotta hurt. Like, I know we talked about game number 1 where New Meta, they had control of zone. It was just iPad on the Heavy, just kind of solo holding against 3 people. But for Go Hanato, that gotta feel good. For New Meta, that's gotta hurt. You had control of zone the entire time. They got down to 29 points. They got down to 71 points. That was it. You had, like you were talking about, the zone kept flipping. You had Dynamo and Heavy. You just kept control of the zone. But one unoptimal fight from you just kind of spelled your doom. And like you said earlier, kind of using those specials a bit early. They used them to try to get into the zone. That just didn't work out for them, and they were just kind of held back by Punchy with the crab, by iPad shutting down Lucas's hammer. And you see the final fight right here. Pablo, let's watch this all in action here. Getting 1, getting 2, Snack getting 3, popping that cooler, maybe a bit unoptimal, I will say, because you just wasted a Dynamo flick there by not getting the zone. So now Go Hanato, they're 1 game away from taking this tourney, and I think they like this one very, very much, as we're gonna go to zones on Hagglefish. And Rocket, I think the Heavy's staying personally. I don't know about you. I think it's staying.
Yeah, I absolutely think both Heavies will kind of stay in that, but so far this set has been the story of following trends. I mean, you saw what happened in game 1. Why did New Meta ultimately lose that one? They got impatient, they rushed the Heavy. What happened in that game 3? They got a little impatient, they rushed, this time, the try, and they weren't able to get much value out of it. Just, New Meta is able to set themselves up in these winning positions, but 2 times now, it has been those key moments where Goat Hanato has been able to take advantage of their minuscule faults. Those little opportunities that you give Goat Hanato are really disastrous and have been for New Meta. So now you just gotta win on your own map pick. This should favor a little bit more of that more scrappy type of fighting that you have from New Meta that you typically want to expect when the weapons are more sprayed out. We will go back to that VAC 96. That has been a winning formula for New Meta here, but even if they win this one, they will have to win on Goat Hanato's counter picks. So you just got to take it 1 game at a time and see if you can at least bring 1 back here. But already off to not a great start, as Punchy is able to get that crab off early and basically mow down 3 members of New Meta.
I mean, yeah, that plus the Carbon getting a pick on Isabel as well. Snack gonna go down the lane wipe for New Meta, and now Gohanto setting up really well here. You saw that they're just making sure that they can't get anything going, but Storm just mowing down 2 members, make that 3 members of Gohanto fighting back right away. And see that New Meta doing a really great job of kind of clearing out both the islands on the right hand side and trying to get through this plat. But it's gonna be very, very hard since you're at such a height disadvantage here that it's gonna be kind of difficult for you to get back in. But a nice pick there is gonna make it a lot easier. Isabel going in, getting punished right away. Zuka coming out as well, but oh, I'm so sorry. The VAC is gonna shut that down before getting a pick onto Lucas here. But Hanato going straight into it with Punchy getting a nice pick there. Lucas, the hammer, not quite able to get the pick on Pablo just yet, staying alive, jumping away. And now New Meta, kind of like we saw in Wahoo World a little bit, they have control of zone. They're trying to push forward here, but the more open map, the more ways that there are to go in, makes it a lot less feasible for them to just run straight forward and get a lot of picks.
Yes, and getting the lead hasn't been the issue for New Meta. Maintaining it has been, and I don't want to manifest anything here, but that's been proven to not be their strength twice. Can it be the magical third time they swing things around? Not if the Carbon has anything to say about it. You do take out the heavy splat link pretty early. Zuka now coming out to threaten Storm on this left side, but retakes so difficult to do on this map, especially if you're not careful. Can be very punishing. It's gonna be life or death revolving around this Crab and Vac that each side is running, playing mind games with each other, trying to maintain the flow of battle as Punchy just trying to filter out the rest of New Meta into that one corner area. Not a lot of penalty to really work through as well, so Goat Hanato can start chipping away at it slowly but surely. But New Meta, this is your biggest test now. This upcoming retake is gonna potentially just determine the tournament.
I mean, yeah, the VAC coming out really early here. Lucas trying to fight within it, but the flank from the Carbon getting a lot of damage off. Able to get a pick as well. 2 down for New Meta. Lucas's hammer gets shut down. It's just going to be Storm remaining. They're going to go down as well. And go Hanato looking strong. One more attempted push from New Meta, and that will be the lead. They get a wipeout at 3 down. That will be the game. We're going to see what they do here. Lucas does have a hammer. You see him on the top of your screen. They're going to pop it. Try to get a pick. Nice pick on the Carbon. Looking for even more. Pablo coming from behind. Trying to get them down. Lucas causing a distraction here. A lot of the zone is still not being painted by either side. Go Hanzo just holding on to it. Lucas getting a nice pick, but it won't matter. You saw it. Go Hanato just let Lucas do whatever they wanted. They kept their eyes on the rest of the team, and it worked out in their favor. And if you can believe it, Goat Hanato not only beat Full Bet, the #1 seed, 3-1. They also beat New Meta, the #3 seed, 3-1 to win the golden paddling pool number 370. And I will say they played it so well after that second game.
Absolutely, and similar formulas to how you want to win, which is just completely shutting down any attempted retakes before it happened. And in basically all of their wins in this set, they were down at some point, whether it be significantly or otherwise, especially on game 3 and the deciding game 4. They were down tremendous in both of those, and the resilience to claw back, create those retakes, those very good retakes, and prevent the other team from doing the same. I mean, I literally called it right there within the Mahi game. That was the potential game-losing retake there if New Meta wasn't able to get it in. And what happens? Well, that retake fell apart because of that flanking Carbon, because of these players causing some disruptions, because of Punchy constantly being able to kind of get around the vacuum, maybe causing it to not entirely prevent all of the damage, but popping it in certain situations where other players can get opportunities off of it. If the crowd can't get the value, then maybe the Carbon can get behind that vac and cause some damage there and just play to their own strengths. New Meta just wasn't able to really get in those retakes that you needed in order to really secure those matches because, like I mentioned, they were able to put themselves in winning situations, but they just weren't able to close out.
Yeah, and I kind of want to go back a little bit to when we talk about Punchy versus the versus Snack on the Crab, on Crab versus Vac. I think what Punchy did really, really well. I don't know if you recognize it, but they would always pop their crab away from their team. Like, especially I want to say when Goat Hanato was pushing against Numeta's lead, they popped their crab like off to the left hand side.
Right.
So now you kind of have to you put Snack in a catch-22. You either deal with the crab, right? You deal with the crab, and the rest of the team kind of just like runs right at you, or you deal with the rest of the team, and the crab just kind of gets to roam free. So I think Goat Hanato did a really great job of putting themselves in good positions to kind of what's the word, to go off of that crab, go off of the distraction, go off of that. And I think that is kind of the difference between them and New Meta, where like we saw it, Lucas and Isabel, they did flank a lot, but it felt like the rest of the team just didn't really what's the word? They didn't really follow up on that very well. Right, they like at the very end of the game, Lucas did flank. Really, they did flank. They got a lot of attention towards themselves. No one followed up because guess what? Go Hanato said, "All right, you do you. I'm gonna deal with the rest of the team," and they worked out really well in their favor. Heck, even in that last game, not the last game, even in the third game on Flounder Heights, same thing. Lucas would flank or Isabel would flank. Nah, I'm gonna deal with you later. They dealt with the rest of the team. Came back to Lucas, forced him to jump away, got the kill. Either one. So I think I credit Go Hanato for not kind of overreacting to flanks, right? They kept an eye on it and they said, okay, if they move, we'll deal with it. But for now, they dealt with the rest of the team, and hey, that's what got them the win.
Yeah, spreading out, flanking, and pinching. That was the main three elements that really allowed Goat Hanato to win these more micro plays. But with that being said, that is our tournament. That is Golden Paddling Pool number 370. Goat Hanato winning that crown, winning that illustrious golden badge. That will be it for us here, though, at Dapple Productions for today's cast. I have been Rocket, Topic on my other side. We have some plugs to do before we go. Topic, where can the people find you?
Yeah, you can find me on my Blue Sky right over there, Topical2 at B-Sky. I also commentate for, IPL a lot, for Dapple Productions, and sometimes CCA. Also, I know it's a little bit out in the future, but I will be at GOML on July 31st to the 2nd, so that's going to be a very fun event. If you see me, say hi. Yeah, that's it from me. Rocket, what about you?
Yeah, you can find me at Rocket1 on Blue Sky, listed below. Just add a 1 at the end of the T. If you just have that, you won't find me. That will be something else. I assure you, it's not exactly gonna be me. So just trust me on that. Rocket1 is where you'll find me. You'll also find me if you are in the States at Deep Sea, Dallas, Texas. That is the upcoming land that I will be going to. Shout out to our wonderful streamer, Jorian, as always. We'll see you next time for the next tournament coming up. Goodbye.
Goodbye, everyone. Have a good Wednesday.